Hello and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Vecenie. Oh boy, we have a fun show today because there have been 20-point comebacks galore in the NBA playoffs. The latest one, the New York Knicks take a 2-0 lead on the Boston Celtics. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about a Nuggets Thunder beatdown in Oklahoma City, and we will talk a bit about Pacers Cavs, as well as Stephen Curry being out in the Golden State Minnesota series. But first, let's hit the music.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Way downtown.
Bang! Bang! What's this gonna be? Oh! Are you kidding me?
Hello and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Vecenie. But if you watch the tape, what you will see completely orchestrated this game. Yo, what's going on, guys?
What's up, Sam?
Bryce, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I am good. I'm still trying to navigate this world where the Knicks are up 2-0 on the Boston Celtics. And we brought on Andrew Claudio, GMAC, the fearless leader and producer of the Game Theory Podcast, avid Knicks fan, really the head honcho at Knicks Film School as well. Obviously, the title GMAC here stands for GM Andrew Claudio. To talk about this, because I think that after the first game, I was in the bucket of, look, this was definitely like a shooting variance kind of game where the Celtics missed, I think I counted 6 wide open free throws and then went crazy low from 3. I actually think that game 2, as much as the Celtics also shot 25% from 3 and went 10 for 40 from 3, real case here. I think that game 2 was more about the Knicks performing well on defense than it was about shooting variance and whatever else you want to throw out there with this. I thought that they just played really well, particularly in that late comeback in the fourth quarter, to be able to get that thing steady. And also the Celtics continue to play clogged toilet bullshit offense in a way that frustrates any human being that watches basketball. Andrew, let's maybe go to you first. You are on mute as well.
So, I am also still trying to comprehend this world that the Knicks are 2 wins away from the conference finals. So much was made about their inability to beat the good teams in the NBA, specifically the top 3 teams in the sport. They went 0-10 against the Celtics, the Thunder, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. If you want to throw the Lakers, the Warriors, and the Clippers in there, fine. A lot was made about how this team, the vibes, if you want to call it that, were just off, and this wasn't last year's team where everything was great, and we beat teams with the power of friendship. And through 2 games, it appears they may have built exactly what they needed in this whole Wingstop program of Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, and at times Josh Hart. And I got to give him credit, Mitchell Robinson. And when they can go to those lineups, really bearing down and getting some stops. And look, say what you want about Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson. I think they're holding their own to an extent when it comes to this all switch defense that they've been playing the last 2 days. Look, I disagree about, I think, yes, the first game was the game I give their defense more credit. And what happened for 2 days about the Celtics going 15 of 60 for 3, I actually thought the Knicks wanted those shots. They put the Celtics in a ton of isolation, which is why they switched everything. And I was staring at the Celtics missing wide open shots in tonight's fourth quarter when I was just waiting for the flurry of 3 straight threes that would make the Knicks fake comeback go away. A 21-2 run for the Knicks over the final, I think it was the final 7 minutes in which the Celtics
I can give you the exact time. It was the 8:30 mark to the 1 minute mark of the fourth quarter was the 21-2 run.
The Celtics hit 1 shot over that course of the 8:31 mark you said until the end of the game, and it was a Jason Tatum dunk to give them a 1-point lead with 20 seconds left. I am processing this reality that the Knicks are now up 2-0 according to a lot of the betting markets. They have not just like a puncher's chance, but now a real chance to win 2 of your next 4 games, and you've dethroned the champs. And I'm trying to process while also analyze how they got here and how sustainable it is for 2 more games. That is my rational, coherent way of reacting to what these last 2 games have been.
So, Bryce, let's go there. How sustainable do you think this is for the Knicks on let's go with defense, because holding the Celtics to 105 and 90 points is realistically the reason that they're up 2-0. The fact that the Celtics have not like gone nuclear on offense yet.
Yeah, I mean, so this script is not sustainable. I don't think they're going to win 2 more games of the next 5, getting down by 20 at some point in the third quarter and making a comeback.
Yeah.
I actually am a little more with I will say this. I was prepared to do a video breakdown on why the Knicks offense was so bogged down in this game. Like that, midway through the third quarter, that's where my mind was. I was going to go clip, and that's not what I'm going to do now. I'm going to break down the 20-point comeback because that's just more fun and more exciting. But I thought the Knicks offense was very bogged down and very ISO heavy and very like, Jalen, it's your turn. Now Jalen's out. Now, Kat, it's your turn. Oh, OG, you haven't got a possession in a while. Now you get the ball. Mikal, you haven't scored yet, so now you get the ball for a few possessions. And I didn't like that. But they eventually figured it out. They started making shots. I thought the defense was better in the first half, actually. I think I agree with both of you on the defensive end. GMAC, I think the Celtics missed wide open shots. I assume that's part of the breakdown tomorrow is like, hey, sometimes you have to get lucky to come back from 20 points on a good team in terms of them missing shots. But I actually thought they disrupted the Celtics in the first half. Like I thought they did some good things defensively early on. They couldn't get any offense going to really make it look as good as what it could have.
So, okay. I want to give the Knicks a lot of credit here to start. Like before I go into what I'm going to say. The way that Jalen Brunson has just completely taken over these late game situations, it never ceases to amaze me. I have so much more faith and confidence in him than I do anybody else on the court at this point in the like final 5 minutes of a game. And that's the reality. And this comes from somebody who made the statement in the first round that I thought Jason Tatum over his last like 3 games that he played in that 5-game series of Orlando looked like the best player in the playoffs to this point. So I think Jalen Brunson like didn't have his most efficient night, obviously tonight, 17 points, 7 assists, 2 turnovers, 6 for 19 from the field. I thought that the Celtics did a pretty good job bottling him up. I thought Drew Holiday deserved some credit for that. I thought that Towns had a monster night tonight. Like the ability to create second chance opportunities in timely ways. I know that he only had 3 offensive rebounds, but they came like in big spots, it felt like to me. And then on top of it, he drilled a couple of like huge, like baseline jumpers. Obviously, I thought was super physical and dealing with switches as well. This was a game where he actually took advantage of his size in a big way, with the Celtics being willing to switch on defense against him. And I think that that is very much deserving of credit. Mikal in the fourth quarter, like Mikal Bridges in the fourth quarter. I don't know if he earned all of the pick capital that they gave up for him, but he at least earned 1 pick alone in the fourth quarter. That one single quarter is worth 1 pick to me in the first round. That was unbelievable to me. What he was able to do as a scorer, obviously the block at the end. I thought he was awesome on defense throughout the entirety of the fourth quarter, honestly. And I think he's actually been pretty good defensively throughout the course of this series. I do think this is a little bit more about Boston than it is about the Knicks. And what Boston is doing and not doing is driving me insane. They are not nearly enough, in my opinion, attacking ball screens where Brunson is the like quote unquote big defender, the screen defender. I don't think that the Knicks have looked good in any circumstance where they have done that the entire series. And there are moments where it's like Drew Holiday, they do it in an empty side of the court. Drew Holiday just slips to the rim and scores. There are times where, you know, in the fourth quarter, one of the wide open missed threes that I believe GMAC referenced was him and who was it? I have it in my notes. I think it was Mitch. They get caught in just like a total miscommunication where Brunson is showing and then trying to recover. Mitch thinks he's like supposed to go and stay attached. And like, it just leaves Jaylen Brown completely and utterly wide open for three. And he just totally misses. I think that what has kind of gone a little bit, what I missed, maybe I'll start here. What I missed in assessing this series is that Towns actually might not be a bad defender for playing against Tatum and Brown. I'm not saying that they don't have an advantage on him. They do for sure. But if you're going to switch him, these two guys, with the way that they've played this year particularly, and with Jaylen like not playing well, frankly, like Jaylen has been terrible, I think, in these two games. He had a really good second quarter tonight, but outside of that has been like dreadful, I think. Those two guys, more than anything, like to try and bully you to get to the rim. Like they just try and put their shoulder into you, put their shoulder into you, put their shoulder into you, and try and back you down. And that doesn't really get the defense into rotation at all. If you have a bunch of big, strong dudes like Towns, Brunson is not like a catastrophe against Jaylen Brown whenever he's in a switch scenario, because he's able to get his lower half like underneath him and use his lower center of gravity just to keep Jaylen away from the rim and make Jaylen elevate over the top for these mid-range jumpers. I think the Celtics are falling into that trap too often, where they're just merely trying to attack mismatches and trying to isolate mismatches, as opposed to what I think really worked in the third quarter, particularly, which is when they got into actual ball screen actions and made Townsend drop, try and guard, multiple guys at the same time. He got caught in no man's land a couple times. I thought Mitch got caught in no man's land one time on a cornet, like just dive to the rim and dunk, right? I think they're not doing a good enough job of making these guys communicate and like guard in spaces, and are making it a little bit too easy on the Knicks. Where do you guys fall on that?
Oh, I'll go first. Okay. So I agree with you about the third quarter, specifically Townsend dropped. I was confused why Towns was in drop, because he wasn't in foul trouble and the switching had been really effective.
Yeah.
I'm not, and you could tell, because the fan part of me is just very much in shock that Knicks are up 2-0, that I don't think the Knicks have played all that well. They were down 20 in both games. And then
I don't either. I agree with you.
The anatomy of a comeback, usually a lot has to go right for you. Like you get really hot from shooting, you get a ton of stops, and that's how I thought they came back in game one. And to your point about Mikal Bridges, 14 points in the fourth quarter tonight, has played 94 minutes in 2 games so far. Worth every pick as far as I'm concerned. Brooklyn should have asked for more. I think in my previews for this series and leading up to it, and look, I'm not going to pretend like I went into this with any hint of confidence. I was very thankful they survived the Detroit series. But one of the things was like, if you force Tatum and Brown to go mismatch hunting, that takes them out of the flow of their offense. And like you said, they like to bully you. And if fine, go ahead, take advantage of Jalen Brunson in on your drive, Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. If it leads to 2 points, then you're not hitting 25 threes. And I think the Knicks have somewhat baited them into them playing as poorly as they have, while recognize the requirement is still there for them to play poorly, because you are forcing them to take advantage of weaker defenders. I think Brunson has been very good on the defensive end. As far as the cat and how I still have issues with him as a rim protector. I think when he was playing drop in the third quarter, and that's why I would love for just somebody to ask, like, why did they switch to drop? Because it wasn't. I understood game 2 when it happened, game 1 when it happened, because he was in foul trouble, and you want to be a little more conservative. I didn't understand why they went to that in the third quarter of game 2, and the comeback didn't start until they subbed him out for Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah.
And look, we're sitting here, and the Knicks had a 95 offensive rating. I have so many issues. Bryce, I would have loved to watch that breakdown on the Knicks Film School YouTube channel of the Knicks offense and how bad it has been. And this is gonna be a segue over to you. This is not, the Knicks have not played well enough to be up 2-0, and they are, which is why I do agree that there's a lot more going on with Boston, who I thought was overwhelmingly better going into the series. And the margin has just closed to where I don't have like overwhelming confidence they can win 2 more games, but I also recognize the hill is not as high for them to climb anymore, you know?
Yeah. And just to be real clear, like, I completely agree with your point that the Knicks are playing great defense and are baiting these guys into like feeding into what the Knicks want to do on defense right now. It is like those guys like Tatum and Brown are making terrible decisions. And that's a huge piece of this right now to me.
So to your guys' point, this is interesting. Let's play a little bit of trivia. I think we would all guess that Boston had the lowest 2-point field goal attempts per game in the regular season, right? We would in the NBA, right? We all know this. At 41.2, do either of you know how many 2-pointers they took tonight?
I do.
I mean, I literally have the box score up. So
54. Yeah. They took 54 tonight. Now, here's the thing about the Boston Celtics from 2. Either of you want to guess what they shot from 2 during the season?
I would guess exceptionally high because of the gravity of the 3-pointer.
57%, which was 3rd in the NBA. Want to guess what they shot from 2-pointers tonight against the New York Knicks on those 54 attempps?
44.
44% from 2. So
good math. Holy shit.
So, I mean, just to your guys' point of the Knicks are forcing them into 2-pointers. They're forcing them into contested 2-pointers, because if there's one thing New York does, it's have some size and strength and those type of things. And there was a lot, like, as I racked my brain, there's like, okay, even when Jaylen Brown was making shots, a lot of them, not all of them, were contested shots, right? Like, I think he got my guy Josh Hart a couple times in that second quarter, but Hart made him work and then contested the next one. You're never going to get anything easy on OG. I agree with you, Sam. I think Mikal has been good. I thought Cat was good tonight. It's just like they're gonna have a couple games where they make threes. GMAC, right? The Knicks aren't gonna sweep the series, I don't think. But
at this point, anything's on the table. But
anything's on the table. Yes. But the thing is, you've stole 2 already, and so they can have 2 crazy 3-point shooting games, and that's only 2-2. So they've got these 2, and yeah, I mean, maybe there's a couple more 3-point shooting games where they don't shoot it well. It's just, those are interesting numbers to me that Boston shot 54 2s and shot that poorly on those 2s.
Well, so the stat I looked at when I was tracking in the first half, they shot 29 2s in the first half compared to 21 3s. And it seemed like there had been an emphasis on the way the Knicks were playing them. Fine, get to the paint, get to the restricted area, and we will do our best to take advantage of the fact that they're trying to take away the 3 as best as possible. And you live with that ratio, which is why I was more frustrated with the Knicks offense. And then in the second half, I believe it was about even. It was like 25-19, but it was still more 2s than 3s. And that's the formula, you know? Like they took 60 in game 1, but a lot of those were when they were already up by 20. Jalen Brunson is 15-42 in this series. He's shooting 35% from the field, and they're up 2-0. This is not how I imagined if the Knicks were going to be up 2-0 that they would get there.
Well, and to speak to the point on everything being contested from Bryce, this stat also speaks to everything being very tightly, contested on the interior. Do you know what the Celtics turnover rate was tonight?
I don't.
17.6. Do you know what their turnover rate was in the season this year? It was 12.2.
I was going to say 12.
That was second best in the league. 17.6 would be worst in the league.
Wow.
So everything that the Celtics are doing, everything that the Knicks are doing as well, is baiting the Celtics into, all right, let's try and attack these, post ups, and let's try and attack these, like, undersized guards like Brunson and everything, with particularly Jaylen Brown, and try to just like attack him and, just shoot up over the top of him or get to the rim or bury him underneath the basket. Right. And he's strong enough to deal with that, or at least like strong enough to deal with that until the help comes over and is able to work with that. And B, that's the other piece of this. OG Anunoby is coming over from the weak side and doing an amazing job of timing his help rotations in doubles in order to make the sight lines way more difficult. There's a reason Jaylen Brown had 6 turnovers tonight. I thought OG particularly, but also to an extent, like Mikal and Josh Hart, were really, really good tonight at creating those like havoc help rotations and doubles where Brown just didn't have the ability to be able to make those reads. And this has been the problem with Jaylen Brown's game, like throughout the course of his career. If you can convince him to be able to become like the primary playmaker where he's attacking mismatches and like, okay, great. And then you can do late doubles and kind of force him into being a passer. He just doesn't see that well. And he never really has.
Real quick, 4 steals for OG. I thought he was incredible off the ball, along with his on the ball point of attack defense. Mikal had 3, obviously the one to end the game. I assume he got credit for that one. I think he ended up with the ball. And then the other guy, you shouted him out, GMAC. I wish this guy could shoot free throws because then he would be able to stay on the floor more. I think it's also funny that like they're calling each other's bluffs, like between the coaches. It was like Tibbs like, I don't think you're going to foul him again, or whatever. And then the fact they did foul him again to get all the way to the penalty, I was like, Joe, what are you doing? He literally sent OG to the scores table and brought him back because he was testing you to see if you would foul him again. You knew he was going to take his ass out as soon as anyway. But Mitchell Robinson had really good energy plays and had 3 steals himself, is where I was initially going with that.
Yeah.
That free throw was
Dreadful. Yeah.
Disgusting. But everything else about Mitchell Robinson, I really like.
So to your point, Bryce, and this is, I don't want to turn this into a Thibodeau conversation, but there's a hint of chess that he's winning against. I know Joe Mazzulla likes to play basketball, likes to coach basketball, theorizing it via chess.
Which is hysterical because they just hired that former chess prodigy or whatever.
Oh, did they really? Oh, that's even better.
Yeah,
so that's
like some former chess prodigy.
The stretch you're talking about, when I believe the Knicks had, it was like 2.5 minutes left, right? So they were just outside of the stretch where it would be you're allowed to intentionally foul.
It was, I have it in my notes, 2:45, Celtics up 4. We were coming from a timeout where they changed the Bridges 2 to a 3. So we came from the timeout. I jumped in your stream to give my guy Josh Hart some love real quick and then bounced back out. Knicks ball, Celtics up 4 in this situation. And then what you're talking about is about that.
Back-to-back intentional fouls. Yep. And the first one that happens, you see OG come to the scorer's table and you think, okay, they're going to make this up now. Tibbs recognizes, all right, if he does it again, I'm in the penalty for the final 2.5 minutes.
Correct.
How did the Knicks take the lead with 12 seconds left? A Jalen Brunson foul that only is 2 free throws if they're in the penalty. So that preparedness, that chess, that forward thinking is why all the warts. I have no idea if he can create a good offense for the rest of this series to complete the job here. I have no idea if Tom Thibodeau has that in him. But my God, is he pushing so many of the right buttons on defense and along the margin moves, like the situational subbing, navigating the intentional fouling of Mitchell Robinson, going to OG at the 5 during a stretch in game 1. Like every single thing he's doing, it on the defensive end. I should clarify that on the defensive end. seems to be working. And it's why a series I thought was going to be his last, maybe the one that ensures he's here for a long time. I'm not getting ahead of myself, but I've been very, very satisfied with the coaching job that Tom Thibodeau's done for the first 2 games.
I think he's demolishing Missoula right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely demolishing him. Like, it feels like to me the Celtics are in this zone where they feel like, oh, the threes will fall eventually. Like, we shouldn't abandon the process, right? Especially after game 1, now game 2, they go 10 for 40 again. Like, I honestly wonder if they're just going to come out and do the same thing again in game 3, like genuinely. And, maybe if you're a Boston fan, like you expect like some more ball screen attacks and like you expect some more like actual sets to try and get the Knicks into rotation so that they aren't just like, scramble doubling and then like rotating out of it. Right. And like, I'm just not sure. I'm not saying that like Joe Mazzulla can't adjust. Like, I think that, there have been moments where he has, like, I thought last year he was okay. It is to me really just like, I don't know if they're going to. Like, I really wonder if they're going to look at this as just like, hey, the shots are going to fall. We're going to be fine at some point.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, like, if that's what how they look at it. I mean, I feel like this is how they play. They shoot a bunch of threes. It didn't seem like there was a great flow. Like that's my thing with it.
No.
Is there's just not a great flow, and however you want to say, energy in the basketball, whatever. Whatever your term is, whatever your coach speak is, it just seemed like that's lacking right now. And it does. Here's the scary thing for the Knicks. Once they find it again, then they find that flow and they can be hard to deal with. They had a little bit of a stretch in the third quarter where they went on a little bit of run for just a little, whenever they extended it out to 20. We just haven't seen it for an extended quarter or an entire half, let alone a whole game. But I don't see them changing their, I put in the Josh Hart breakdown. I snuck in at the very end the Drew Holiday ball screen stuff because Detroit brought Jalen Brunson into the ball screen a lot, but then they just popped off of it. Well, what Drew Holiday did in the first game was he would roll out of it, and that's a hard recovery for Jalen Brunson to hard hedge and then get to the roll. Or Drew Holiday would slip because Brunson plays on the high side so he can be there early. I don't remember much of it in this game of them doing like it just. I feel like when they ran like some traditional ball screens,
some early for what it's worth, they did a little bit of it early, but then later in the game there was like none of it.
And I think just like traditional ball screen stuff as well, I thought they were successful. Like I felt like they got Porzingis going a little bit in that third quarter. It's just I would like to see some more of that because. I mean, even going back to the Pistons series, I don't know the Knicks have defended just like even traditional ball screens well in that series. So, but I don't know.
Well, and here's the other thing about defense too. Like, we are going on 2 years of Karl Anthony Towns, like being able to deal with physical matchups in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, if you get him in space, if you make him like rotate, if you make him make decisions, if you make him like be the weak side help man. That's the processing where Cat gets it wrong a decent amount of the time. If it's just I'm switching and I just have to like body up and deal with Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, who are just like trying to go into my body. Again, like I think he can kind of do that. Like, but at the end of the day, too, if I'm Boston and that's the strategy that the Knicks are going to try and employ, what I'm doing is I'm setting ball screens like 40 feet from the rim at that point. I'm saying, okay, you want to do that?
Correct.
Be my guest. I'm going to go and say, okay, Jaylen Brown, you're fucking 45 times more athletic than Karl Anthony Towns. We're going to get you just downhill going to the rim, and you just have to turn the corner on Cat in that circumstance, right? But that shouldn't be that shouldn't be difficult for Mazzulla to figure out. You know what I mean? And like they did it a little bit with like some double ball screens, like on each side where they were trying like super extended, like horns actions. And it was never more than like 30 feet from the rim. I'm saying like, get these things way high and just let Jalen Brunson get way downhill. And then you force like kickouts. Let Jason Tatum, like in the play where he beat Mitchell Robinson to the rim and finish to get it to 90 points and have them take a 1-point lead. Set the ball screen super high, guys. Like, this is how you beat them. You don't beat them by playing like a tight, congested, gross basketball game.
Yeah, I agree. GMAC?
I'm enjoying listening to you guys make sense of what I've watched, because I can't. I'm trying to analyze it, and I don't. Again, the Knicks have not played like a team that should be up 2-0 in the series, and everything the Celtics should quote unquote change is everything I was afraid of going into this series, like that they're just going to hit like 2 more threes and be up 2-0 in the series, you know?
So yes, you're right about that, but Tibbs has coached like a coach that should be up 2-0.
Yeah.
In this series, like we said. So, like, yes, do I think this should probably be 1-1? Like, or maybe even like 2-0 Celtics if like they had made 5 more threes or something? Like, sure, whatever. But that's not the reality. The Celtics didn't close in crunch time, just like the Pistons didn't close in crunch time, because Jalen Brunson exists and continues to be as clutch as any player in the league, having just won this award. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
like I can't sit here and hate on the Knicks. I think they deserve to be up 2-0 for sure.
Let me be clear. I'm not taking anything away from the Knicks. I just, and this maybe can be how I leave you, because I do want to get an outsider from the Knicks bubble's thoughts on the rest of the series. And it's like, where are you in the sense of, can the Knicks win 2 more games with exactly what you've seen the first 2? Or like, is this like, you see me stumbling over my words. I don't know how to
here's
process
my
how
answer
they'll
is
get the rest of the
I think
series.
they have to figure out the offense a little bit.
I agree.
I did not like the offense tonight. I think defensively, like if Boston does some of the things Sam's talking about, that's a little bit scary. But you already have the 2-0 lead. So even if Boston has 2 incredible games or whatever, New York has shown their resilience. They've shown their talent. Tibbs has showed his coaching chops, like all of those things. So like, can they? Yes. I think they have to make some adjustments of their own in terms of getting the offense flowing a little bit. And like, I think one of the things I was going to break down is like, look at the shot diet for Brunson whenever there's an off the ball action, when he's relocating or coming off a screen or something like that. Like that was what I was going to show, is like, hey, Tibbs, get him off the ball a little bit, make his life a little bit easier, as opposed to him having to, and playing out of the cat post ups and some stuff like that. But I mean, you mentioned the thing that we talked about leading into the Pistons series, like the team kind of lacked this attitude, this toughness. Well, this team just played 6 straight 1-score games, and they've won 5 of the 6. So there's obviously something to their mental, emotional, whatever makeup that they've tapped into right now. And it's hard for that to just go away in the middle of a playoff run, in my opinion.
Bryce, I was thinking it during the monologue we were doing for our Knicks Film School postgame show. Like, thank you, Detroit. Like, you gave them something to go through.
No, yeah. I don't want to do this like as somebody that covers the Pistons, but I'm like, I think there's something to that. Like, I think Detroit gave them what they needed to go through to maybe reach their potential, which sounds really weird. And I promise I'm not trying to just like give the Pistons a compliment just because, but it was like this tough physical, we're going to play super hard and you better match it if you actually want to get out of this series. And New York did, and they won the series, rightfully so. And they were better coming out of that series, don't you think?
So as a result, like the compliment you give Detroit, all of us talked about what the talent discrepancy was, how far you go down the list of best players in the series until you get to a second Piston. And that was an either or series for most of the 6 games. The Knicks are facing a Celtics team. How far do you go before you get to a second Knick, a third Knick? Like, what the Celtics have done to them all season has shown a gigantic gap, but the Knicks weren't able to sleepwalk through a first round. They actually had to earn the second round, and now they're battle tested. And it's something that I'm appreciative of, and it's why like my biggest confidence as a fan is that now these are things I felt last year. That like no matter what, the Celtics might hit 100 threes at the Garden on Saturday, but even if they're up 20 in the third quarter, The Knicks have come back twice from that. I will wait until the final score is up there before I know
here's the
how
thing.
the game ends.
I can tell you if you know they're going to come back or not. If my guy Josh Hart hits a 3 immediately as the Celtics take a 20-point lead, the Knicks are making the comeback because it happened in both of them.
We're making the same correlation tonight. Like, because he hit a 3, then someone else on the Celtics hit a 3, and then OG hit 2 threes in game 1. He hit a 3 tonight, and then we were like, all right, so who's going to hit the 2 threes for the Knicks tonight to make the comeback? I can't believe they've blown 2 20-point leads to the Knicks. I can at home too. My God.
Like here's the other piece of this too. Like I can't remember if it was Andrew or Bryce. You brought up the idea of like, can the Knicks win 2 out of 5 now at this point to win the series? I'm looking at this like literally the opposite way. I'm wondering, can the Celtics win 4 out of 5 now?
Sure.
Because that's the reality of what they have to do. They have to win 4 out of 5 games. There's a reason that like a lot of teams don't come back from 0-2 down. Winning 4 out of 5 in a playoff series is really difficult.
With a hampered Porzingis, right? Like, I mean, that's something we haven't brought up. Like, I'm not trying to make excuses or downplay what the Knicks have done, but Porzingis comes off the bench tonight and plays how many minutes? It was less than,
didn't look good either.
Yeah.
Like, he played 14.
I was gonna say it was definitely under 20. I would have said under 15. And, Horford didn't shoot it well tonight. He was 0 of 5 from 3. Hauser wasn't able to play. Like,
Hauser is actually also like a really important loss for them because Hauser allows them to maintain size on the court in a lot of their rotations where they still have multiple guards that can initiate offense out on the court. But with him out, they then have to go to Pritchard, who's just way smaller and is like a real, I wouldn't say he's defensive liability, but like he's just smaller and he's a little bit easier to attack in certain circumstances. So it is just a very different rotation that they have to run, in my opinion, with Pritchard. While Pritchard is essentially doing very similar things to what Hauser is doing when, the stars are on the court, he's just doing it at 6'2" versus 6'8" with Hauser.
Well, here's what's crazy too, GMAC. Brunson didn't even play 40 tonight. OG didn't play 40 tonight. Cat only played 35, and they get 2 days off now. They get Thursday and Friday before going back home. So we can't even be like, well, they played 47 both nights. I mean, I know like Bridges and Anunoby do what they do, but with Brunson, it's like he may actually have the legs to finish this thing out because of the minutes.
Back to a marginal coaching thing real quick. So we have, when they take out Brunson and Cat for Deuce McBride and Mitchell Robinson, I don't know if you guys watch Game of Thrones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you did, Sam. We call it the Hodor lineup. Just hold the door. Like, that's all we're asking. Spoiler alert for anybody who's never seen Game of Thrones. But like, that lineup doesn't have Cat, doesn't have Brunson, but it's just like, hold the door. Like, that's all we need you to do is don't let them in. And Tibbs started the fourth quarter with it rather than going to Campaign, who was the very definition of a Tasmanian devil. We just didn't know what was going to happen in the first half. So him going to that lineup, and they only lost it by 2 points when Brunson was able to get his rest. And then he comes back and OG sits and he goes to the double big, and then the comeback begins. He goes, that's when the 21-2 run starts. I understand how it looks offensively. I appreciate that he's trying things that even when I'm like, all right, I don't know about this, but I recognize you need stops right now, and he's been getting them.
No single shot has ever pissed me off more than Campaign's shot tonight when Cat was on like an 8-0 run by himself and he
dominating the post. Hakeem 8 straight points, and he calls his own number Leroy Jenkins style Campaign. I couldn't believe it.
No pass transition pull up 3, and I'm like, bro, like, okay, put in Shamit or Kolek, put in Tyler Kolek.
Literally anybody else. Put in Bryce Simon at this point, man.
I mean, I would have made it, but
you wouldn't have done that. Is the point.
So like, I guess here's where I'm at on this series now. Like, I think it's like, I don't know, the odds markets have it at 50-50. They have like I think it's like -110, -110, right? I think I would say 55-45 Knicks right now. I'd even go a little bit more aggressively just because Porzingis does not look good. I don't think Jaylen Brown looks good. Like that's actually like the sneaky thing that, like, I don't know. I don't listen to many other basketball podcasts, like really any of them. So like, I don't know if other people have been like noticing this, but like Jaylen Brown does not look great to me. He's had like a couple of moments where he can like really elevate and like get up and you see the explosiveness, but to me, like he is an important piece of this. And then Missoula recognizing that like you can initiate offense 45 feet from the rim as opposed to 30 feet or 28 feet from the rim. Right. Like those are the critical parts of this series to me now, because it doesn't seem like to me that Porzingis is going to be at 100%
Agreed.
moving forward. I think that that's like a fairly reasonable assessment here. But the Celtics are a team where shooting variance is like very plausible for them. Like negative shooting variance in multiple games is like very plausible for them in a 5-game set where they shoot 25% from 3 multiple times. And I don't know that they have answers if they do that at this point based off of these 2 games. So I think I would give the advantage, cautiously to the Knicks at this point in this series is where I'm at. I think it's very close. Like I think it's 50. Like I said, I'd say it's like 55-45, but like I do think I kind of think it's New York has the slight edge to me.
You both were at Celtics in 5 before the series?
I was, yep.
For sure. I was almost in 4. Like,
gotta be honest, so was I. I was Celtics in 5, and I was like, "Where's the 1 coming from?" It's why, like, we didn't talk after Game 1, but my reaction for the most part after Game 1 was like, "Oh, that was great. They got their 1," and we celebrated it. And for 2 days, it was great. And my attitude watching tonight was like, "Hey, at least Saturday is gonna be fun when they come back to the Garden." Now, the circumstances have changed just a tad, and I cannot. I mean, we're doing all our prep for Knicks at Knicks Film School for what we're gonna do for Game 3, but man, Madison Square Garden now with the conference finals, and this can be your guys' segue into talking about what else is going on in the playoffs, like what's going on with the Cavs and the Pacers. Like the Knicks would have home court if both the Pacers and Knicks advanced, and that's not something we expected at all going into these playoffs, let alone into this series. So, giddy up from a Knicks side of things, that's for sure. And if you'd like to check out, I'll let this be my sign off, Stan. If you'd like to check out more of our content, including breakdowns from Bryce Simon over at the Knicks Film School YouTube channel, by all means, please search for us. He's been killing it to unanimous praise from the Knicks Film School audience. He has been awesome. A Jalen Brunson breakdown, a Josh Hart breakdown. Check out Bryce Simon's content over at Knicks Film School.
And just before you leave, like, here's the other thing too. Like, I know the Celtics have been better on the road this year than they have been at home. Like that is a reality of their team this year. I would not want to be going into the Garden down 2-0 with the way that fan base is going to be. That thing is going to be electric in 2 nights or 3 nights, I guess, from now.
Yeah.
That thing is going to be on fire. Like people were talking about, I think it was the Cavs arena, like being as loud as they have heard an arena in the Game 1 of the semifinals against the Pacers. Like, I can't imagine how ready to explode Madison Square Garden is going to be. It's going to be insane. It's going to be unbelievable. Like, I can't wait for that game. Andrew, Knicks Film School, you've kind of plugged that a few times, which is great. Go read all their work. They're the best. Andrew, it was good to see you.
Good to see you.
Go back and continue to do all of your work over there, because you guys are still probably live.
We are still live. No, nowhere near done, by the way. Nowhere near done. Thank you, fellas. Let's go Knicks. Oh, now I'm on screen.
Now you're on screen. Okay. Before we move on, we got to get some ads. Shout out the good folks over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. With millions of members, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just got to pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long over on PrizePicks. Cash in on the basketball playoffs with PrizePicks. Don't miss your last chance to add your favorite players from the court to your PrizePicks lineup. Whether it's points, rebounds, assists, take your pick of more or less for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today. Turn your playoff hot takes into tickets to basketball's championship series, starting with the play-in round, which every lineup you make on Prize Picks will enter you in the Takes Two ticket sweepstakes, which could get you and a +1 a VIP to the ship. Tuesdays, Prize Picks will discount several projections on the board, usually by 15 to 25%. Fridays are Flex Friday. Make sure you opt in and tap the checkbox in your lineup builder to be eligible for the protected play. Choose squares from any game on the board. If your lineup does not win, you get your net losses back in promo funds up to your promo limit as soon as the lineup settles. Download the app today and use the code Game Theory to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code Game Theory to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Second sponsor today. Great people over at Trade Coffee. Whether you're gearing up for back-to-back meetings, shuttling kids back and forth to activities, or tackling an endless to-do list, your morning sets the tone for it all. That's why it should start with the perfect cup of coffee, crafted just for you. Enter Trade. Trade is the #1 U.S. coffee destination, bringing you fresh coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Trade's experts have taste tested thousands of coffees to curate over 450 amazing roasts. Whether you're new to coffee or you know your favorites, they'll hand pick the perfect coffee just for you, even cold brew for those hot summer months. You just take their quiz, and in under a minute, they'll match you to your perfect coffee. If that first bag isn't quite right, Trade's going to replace it for free until they nail it. Trade's prices are also on par with grocery store brands, but the quality is just going to be next level. Plus, you're supporting local roasters. And look, guys, there's just nothing better than like a great cup of coffee in the morning where it's not just like instant coffee. It's not anything like that. It's a great cup of coffee that has the kind of depth of flavor that you're looking for. Right now, Trade is exclusively offering our listeners 50% off your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/game. That's drinktrade, TRADE.com/game for 50% off your 1-month trial. Drinktrade.com/game. Okay, Bryce. Let's do the East. Let's knock out the East before we move to the West.
Okay.
And Rachel in the comments brings up the Pacers are playing like the best team in the East right now. Like, this feels like nuts, basically. I think I kind of agree that the Pacers are playing like the best team in the East. I was on the phone with a like NBA executive that like I'm pretty good friends with earlier, and I really brought up the idea of like the Pacers are like very real contenders to me. Like they are very real championship contenders based off of what we've seen so far from them. And look, like, I think we should give a lot of respect to the Cavs here in terms of the way they played without Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, and DeAndre Hunter in game 2. But man, the Pacers just look awesome right now. And they look like a playoff tested and cohesive playoff team.
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking about this tonight as I was watching the Thunder dismantle the Nuggets in a game we'll talk about later. And I was like, okay, if you had to ask me about the West, I would probably still go with OKC, even though they dropped the game 1, which we'll discuss. And I was like, who do I feel comfortable in the West? Who do I feel comfortable in the East with? You know, like if New York really knocks off Boston, like what if we get a Knicks Pacers series? Like who would I favor in that series? And so, yeah, I don't know that I'm comfortable saying that, but I'm not comfortable discounting it. Like I'm not going to go against Rachel saying that or you saying that or an exec or whoever. I definitely don't feel strongly enough about obviously the Cavs right now or the Celtics right now. Shoot, you know, the Knicks finished this thing off in 5 or 6 and I might feel pretty good about them all of a sudden.
Totally.
But I will tell you this, before we get into this game, I want to make sure 2 guys get their flowers because I realize Halliburton hit the shot. And I realize Siakam hit some shots. That game is nowhere close if it's not for Miles Turner and Aaron Nesmith. And a special shout out to Andrew Nembhard as well. But Nembhard gets I thought Turner was incredible in this game on both ends. And I thought Neesmith was as well. And I just wanted to make sure we got those two guys' names in here before we get into all of the other little things about it.
Could not agree more with you on those two players. Obviously, Miles Turner goes for 23, but the defense was just monstrous.
It was so good, Sam. He was really good. So disruptive, protecting the rim with blocks and just verticality contests.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. And then Naismith obviously drills the 5 threes. I thought he was great in that game. I thought he was so good on defense. He was tough. He was really, really physical against who he had to be physical against defensively. I mean, look, like, before we dive into the Pacers again, like, holy shit, Donovan Mitchell. Like, holy shit, Donovan Mitchell. 48 points on 30 field goal attempts, 21 free throws, 9 assists, and he had to do everything in that game. Like, literally, they had no other way to create a shot, it felt like to me. Ty Jerome was
bad,
really rough, and he was 1 for 14 on offense, and he was really, really rough on defense.
Yeah.
Sam Merrill, like, really tried to keep them in the game in certain times as well. But, like, to be honest with you, there was like a stretch there, I think in the third quarter, you know, where, let's see here, Halliburton, I think, like, attacked Merrill in space, hit a kick out to Naismith. Then he cooked Merrill in space to get the kick out. Then he got beat on an offensive rebound by Mathurin. Then, like, another sick cut by Mathurin after Strus goes to, like, help the helper, because I think it might have been Merrill had been beaten again. Like, it just feels like they are relentlessly attacking any defender that they think that they can get an advantage against. And that also includes Jared Allen, who I thought was a little bit better tonight.
Yeah.
Or last night, I'm sorry, defensively. But it wasn't that much better.
No.
Like, Halliburton is still able to, like, really, really get to him in a way that is concerning, given that it's to the right every single time. He just catches Jared Allen, like, back on his heels, then Allen lunges forward, and you're just like, okay, zooming by you with the right. That's what's happening. The hang dribbles, like, all of it that Halliburton has in terms of his pace has just been nasty to me to this point.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, this is another one of those single game plus minus. Aaron Neesmith was -2 in this game, according to the plus minus. That is not the impact that he had on this game. And you know, even those two guys made big plays. And this is something, like, I harp on all the time: free throw checkouts. Siakam actually goes to the free throw line and misses 2 late in this game. And Neesmith, you know, is able to, you know, he was in early, but it, you know, it is what it is. They didn't call it, and goes in, gets the putback dunk. And then it was Miles Turner who tipped out the offensive rebound off the, Halliburton miss. And that eventually led to the Halliburton 3 to win the game. It just, like, Indiana missed 3 of 4 free throws down the stretch, and it didn't hurt them because either Turner or Neesmith created second chance opportunities that ended up paying off for them. So big plays all around for them. And, you know, obviously the end of the game in general was just crazy. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy watching this team. Yeah, up 2-0, and they're going back home now too. Like, it's kind of craziness.
Well, and here's the other thing too. I mean, like, you mentioned those two guys. I think they don't win this game without Ben Mathurin. And, like,
Sure.
Mathurin's a guy that, like, I have a lot of questions about in general, even though I loved him pre-draft. And, like, I have questions about defense, about certain things that he does. Like, he was so big in the third quarter during that run to be able to get them back in the game. They were down 20 with 6:40 left in the third quarter. It was like, he was massive. He drilled a 3. Well, let's see here. He attacked, like, a Strus Jerome ball screen and then gets to the line. And then he drills a 3, and then he gets that big, like, put back as well. And I think he got fouled at one point in this, like, little stretch too. He was just enormous in being able to, like, give them the energy boost that they needed to be able to keep going. Because, like, if he doesn't do that with the way Donovan just, like, kept, like, hitting these, like, run stoppers and run breakers to either get fouled or hit a little floater or drill a 3 or a kick out or whatever, it would have been super easy for them to go down like 25.
Yeah.
or like 27 at that point, and they might pull the ripcord.
Yeah.
But because of him, they didn't pull the ripcord, I think.
And I will just say this for the Cavs. I don't know what the health of Mobley, Garland, and Hunter are. Indiana has had no answer for Donovan Mitchell so far in this series. And if I'm the Pacers, that makes me a little bit nervous. And if I'm the Cavs, that obviously gives me some hope. I realize, he had 33 and then 48 in this game, but he's 2 of 18 from 3 in those 2 games. He's got to the free throw line 30 times. He's taken a ton of shots. I get it, but he hasn't even made threes to get there. And I thought, we talked about his shot diet in game 1, thinking that it was pretty decent. So that would, if I'm Indiana and I'm trying to, obviously get this closed out as fast as possible or whatever, it'd be interesting to see what they do to try to contain him in some way, but it would make me nervous, especially if Darius gets back and is fully healthy. And then now you have to deal with him also. To me, if I'm a Cavs fan, that's where my hope lies, is that they haven't shown they can stop Donovan Mitchell right now. And maybe we get healthy, including Darius Garland back, that we haven't even seen in this series.
Yeah, I just want to call out like this last minute and a half from Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah.
So he had 11 points going into the last minute and a half. He ends up with 19. So beats Allen off the bounce for like an easy layup. Then Max Strus drills a 3 to get it back to, I think they were up 7 at that point. Halliburton, gets another like easy layup off the bounce to get it to 5. Mitchell gets fouled, gets it back to 7 with 55 seconds left. Siakam gets fouled underneath by Allen, misses the free throws, but Naismith gets that tip dunk. Then a Siakam like attack a closeout situation. They get down 3. Andrew Nembhard steal. Halliburton beats Ty Jerome off the bounce to the right, drills a free throw, misses the second, gets the rebound, hits the step back 3 to win. Yeah. And it's just like, what the the Cavs had to be reeling at that point. They're just like, what the fuck happened? Like, unbelievable from Tyrese Halliburton to close this game. And like, are we looking at a circumstance where we think that like so far in the playoffs, there have been 2 great closers? It's been Halliburton and it's been Brunson. Those are the 2. Like, Jason Tatum can, be, maybe the best player left in the East. Like, that's fine. He didn't play like it tonight, but he hasn't been nearly as clutch as these 2 down the stretch in these super, super tight games. And I have just been immensely impressed with Halliburton and Brunson as late game stoppers for their team so far.
Yeah, I agree. It was a great stretch for him. Again, I didn't want to take away from him and what he did in this game. I just wanted to make sure we shouted out those other guys first. But ultimately, you got to have guys that hit those huge buckets late in a game. And he's been good. I've said all year that as much as I love Pascal Siakam, Tyrese Halliburton has to be number 1. He has to be the guy. It can't be Pascal Siakam's team, or maybe it's Pascal Siakam's team. Maybe it's Tyrese's team. If it's Tyrese Halliburton's team, I feel a whole lot better. And I also want to give him a little bit of credit. Like, I didn't think it was as impactful in this game throughout the whole thing, but I think his effort and energy level is better this year on the defensive end. Like, he'll make some disruption plays. He'll make some recovery plays. He has enough length for that to matter. And so he's not the cog, right? Like, we all know that it's Nembhard and it's Nesmith and it's Miles Turner and Siakam. I get it. But when that guy's giving a little bit of extra effort, when he causes a little bit of disruption, he makes a recovery block or deflection or steal, that stuff is impactful. And I want to give him some credit for that as well on that end.
Yeah. And, also, like, I know Nembhard turned the ball over 8 times in this game, so like that wasn't ideal. But I mean, some of the kickouts that he made, like particularly, he made 2 monster, like drive cross corner weak side kickouts to Aaron Naismith to hit just like massive 3s during this comeback to be able to get them back in the game. I mean, it was just, I thought Nembhard was so good in this game again. Just outstanding player so far for them in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I mean, like you said, I'm glad you brought up Mathurin as well, because those were, they didn't get a ton from the bench. Toppin made a couple big shots, I believe. In the 2 of them, he had a corner 3 and then like a little mid-range jumper, I think, off an offensive rebound, something like that. But, Jarris Walker only played 3 minutes. I think everybody knows how you and I feel about that. Thomas Bryant wasn't a huge factor. McConnell didn't have one of his better games, 4 points, 3 turnovers. So those 19 from Benedict Mathurin were huge for the Pacers.
So in the last 9 days, Pacers came back from down 20 against the Bucks to win. That was on April 29th. The Knicks came back from down 20 against the Celtics on Monday. The Pacers came back from down 20 in this game, in game 2 against the Cavs. The Knicks came back from down 20 tonight against the freaking Celtics. This playoffs is just like out of its mind and out of control. And I just like can't even fathom how we continue to get into these places where we get to watch these awesome games. Look, I would give the Pacers the advantage in this series at this point. We thought this was going to be like a real dogfight of a series, and that's no disrespect to Cleveland, but like with Garland out and with, you know, some of the injury things that they have going on seemingly with Mobley as well, and Hunter, I guess, to an extent, it does feel like the Pacers have like a pretty real edge right now.
I wanted, like, I really considered picking the Pacers in this series before it started. And like, I feel like I've probably come off a little bit as a Cavs hater, because like I was the one going back to before the season thinking they'd end up having to trade somebody and all of that. And it's like, okay, like maybe this is just like me trying to double down on that just a little bit or something. So I went Cavs in 7, but really strongly considered the Pacers. I think the Pacers get at least one at home, and that means they're going to be up 3-1 at, you know, some point, you know, and just have to win 1 of 3. They just feel like they're a team that they know who they are. They found their flow. They found their groove. Again, the X factor is obviously the health. If the Cavs can get those guys back healthy, that would be very meaningful. And again, if you tell me Donovan Mitchell goes for 50 in game 3, I wouldn't be surprised, because I haven't seen, as much as I love Nembhard, as much as I love Nesmith, like, I don't think they've done a very good job defending him so far in this series.
I think I agree with that. Again, though, just like real quick on Donovan Mitchell, because holy shit, like Donovan Mitchell in this series is just completely taking over. It was so funny to watch the way that like they had to completely adjust to him like throughout the entirety of the game. Like they were trying to do anything to get him loose. Cleveland, they were setting ball screens like in the freaking backcourt. It felt like, just to get him downhill and into space. Anytime that the Pacers like went to zone, you'd see like as soon as like Strus would help off of him or Merrill would help off of him at the top of the zone, Mitchell will just like start to get backdoor and like cut immediately, right? Just to get downhill and get to the rim. The way he's attacking the basket, like it's him and Jared Allen out there, and it is not a whole lot else going on from like an offensive creation perspective. All due respect to Merrill and Strus, like as shooters, but he is just responsible for literally everything right now. And the level of respect I have for that dude, just like trying to create everything himself, is out of this world.
Yeah, it was really impressive. I always come away, like, I just love his balance. Like, he has this great combination of strength, balance, explosion, but also has finesse. So, like, you know, within this game, you see him navigating is the on-ball defender, off-ball defenders. He has the push-ahead dribble, the rips. You know, he loves to rip over his defender to bring the ball from one side of his body to the other. The athletic finishes, the creative finesse finishes. Like you mentioned, he got to the free throw line 20 times. And again, I want to highlight, he hasn't even shot well from 3 in this series, which we know he's a big-time shooter, you know, especially as a pull-up guy. And so, like, that's what makes it even more impressive to me is he's really been good from 2 because he hasn't been great from 3. So, a lot of credit to him, because you know the scout was fully out on him tonight with all of those guys out. And I do like Sam Merrill hit some big shots. And Strus, you know, was energetic and made shots tonight. But, yeah, it all starts and stops with Donovan Mitchell right now till Garland and Mobley get back. And DeAndre Hunter to an extent, I guess, as well.
Yeah, but the Pacers look awesome to me. I love watching this team, though. Like, we've talked about them for months now as, like, this, like, sleeping giant kind of, I don't know about giant, but, like, team that, like, we thought would really perform well in the playoffs just because of the way their team is constructed. And, you know, that continues to be the case here.
Yep.
Okay. We got to do 2 more ads before we move on to the West. Shout out to our good friends over at SKIMS. everybody has similar complaints about underwear, be it the comfort of the underwear, the fit, having to shop for it, having to do like the trial and error of you buy it and then you don't really like it. And then you just have to send it back. You have to deal with all this stuff. It's miserable. It's absolutely terrible. But what Skims does is they make buying underwear fun and easy. That is the best part of going to buy Skims underwear. Go over to Skims. They have incredible types of underwear, from the cotton 5-inch boxer brief, the stretch 5-inch boxer brief. They do an amazing job. They are the most comfortable underwear on the marketplace. There is no doubt they are just incredibly soft and enjoyable to wear. Shop Skims men's over at skims.com and at Skims stores. Let them know that we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey, select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. Skims is the official underwear partner of the NBA, WNBA, and USA Basketball. That's head over to skims.com, skims.com. Let them know that we sent you. Final sponsor of the day, LinkedIn. Shout out to the good people over at LinkedIn, because as a small business owner, you do not have the luxury of clocking out early. Your business is always on your mind 24/7. When you're hiring, you need a partner that grinds as hard as you do. That hiring partner is LinkedIn Jobs. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates that you can manage all in one place. I was at sea until GMAC came on this thing, because as Bryce will tell you, I am about as disorganized a human being as exists on planet Earth. What LinkedIn allows you to do, you can post your job, and their new feature can help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. You can post your job for free. You can pay to promote it. Promoted jobs are going to get you 3 times more qualified applicants. At the end of the day, the most important thing to your small business is the quality of your candidates. And with LinkedIn, you can feel comfortable that you're getting the best. Based on LinkedIn data, 72% of small businesses using LinkedIn say that LinkedIn helps them find quality candidates. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/game. That is LinkedIn, LinkedIn.com/game to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Okay, Bryce, let's go to the West.
Okay.
So game 2 tonight of Oklahoma City and Denver got out of hand. Let's go with it got a bit unruly. I do want to start with game 1 at the very least to talk about what happened and how this is now 1-1 after what realistically like probably could be and frankly like should be, if not for, in my opinion, some mistakes by Mark Daigneault down the stretch. 0-2 going to Denver and the Thunder winning this series. This was like a double-digit game, or I don't know, man. It felt like a majority of the fourth quarter. Like, I mean, 7 points at 3:48 was kind of as close as it got. Jokic makes a couple free throws to get it to 7. Then Hartenstein misses a little floater. Russ makes a free throw to get it to 6. Chet misses a 3. Then Jokic comes down, hits a little like floater, if I remember correctly, as well. Shea misses a step back. Nuggets call timeout. Jokic drills that 3 to get it to 1. And then like kind of all the madness ensues where Shea gets fouled with 13 seconds left after he makes 2 free throws. It's 3. Jokic, if I remember correctly, gets fouled like immediately after. They call a timeout. Shea goes in, takes a dunk. instead of like dribbling it out and taking a couple of extra seconds. Jokic is still off the court, and up 3 with 10 seconds left, Caruso fouls with Jokic off of the court, and with the Nuggets possessing 0 timeouts. I am a proponent of fouling up 3 in general, but you have to execute it properly. You can't execute it at 10 seconds, because what you're doing there is you're actually elongating the game at that point, and you're creating more variance in the game because you're creating extra possessions at that point in the game. The reason that fouling up 3 works at like 3, 4, 5 seconds left in the game is because you're probably not giving the other team another possession to score. That's why this is like, or you're giving them like 1 second to score as opposed to multiple time periods and seconds to be able to do this. This was a very bad example. This was not analytics to me. Like, people will point to, oh, the analytics say you're supposed to foul up 3. This is actually not how you use analytics. This analytics say that you don't foul up 10 seconds left. So I just like don't. I think this was so poorly handled and mismanaged. And then Chet goes to the line with like 9 seconds left. And man, I don't know about you, but like I felt like you could like see on his face that he didn't really want to be at the line. And then Gordon goes down and drills this 3. Like I just absolutely do not understand what Dagnall was doing there.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he just leaned into it, and even if you just look at kind of like the game clock numbers, they fouled like 1 second into those possessions, and it seems like you want to let a little bit more time run off, right? Like you want to foul at the correct time in those situations, and my other thing is, I think the one to emphasize is the one where Jokic is off the court, and
correct. You're
also one of the best defenses in NBA history, or of the last 10 years. Like, I'm sure people would argue like your defensive rating is one that people will talk about for many years. This is where I go against the like, I'm just going to trust my defense a little bit. Like, I was always that a little bit more that way. Now, I also coached high school kids who, God love them, you couldn't always trust to execute this stuff anyway. But still, like, I think you have to read the game a little bit. Jokic is off the floor. Like, we kind of talked about this the other day, right? Like the take fouls at the end of a random first quarter, and then they let the other team's best offensive player get on the court and make a play. So I'm with you.
It was literally we were talking about that is the funniest thing in the world to me.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought up the analytics, because I do think stats, analytics, whatever, like, get a bad rap. It's whenever people throw like, oh, analytics say everybody should shoot threes. It's like, no, that's literally not what they say. All the stats say, or the numbers or the analytics say is what the value of a 3-pointer is compared to a 2, and what percentage you have to shoot from 3 compared to 2 for those things to balance out. If you're a 75% mid-range jump shooter and a 20% 3-point shooter, you should shoot mid-range jumpers. Like, that would actually make more sense. Now there's some other things to it with offensive rebounding and spacing and all of that, but yeah, like I don't like whenever we take these things and just like make this war on analytics because of it, especially as you highlighted, when it doesn't seem like it was necessarily used in the best way and with the nuance that even analytics needs to be used with.
So now we get to game 2, right? And like, look, in game 1, like, also worth calling out a few guys like that just didn't play well, right? Like, Jalen Williams did not play well in game 1. Like, he obviously needs to play better as the secondary option for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I thought it wasn't Shea's best game, honestly. Like, I thought that he just wasn't nearly as efficient as he typically is. I know he did have the 8 assists versus 1 turnover, which was pretty valuable, but it did just feel like to me there were some guys out there that just like they were not quite at the level, right, for Oklahoma City.
That guy was not Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso was
was
unbelievable. Yeah, okay.
And by the way, like for the Denver side, let's call out, I mean, Jesus Christ, Jokic. Like 42 points, 22 rebounds, 6 assists, completely took over and is like the entire reason they won that game.
Yeah.
Game 2. 149-106, Oklahoma City. And look, they drilled threes. Like they absolutely drilled threes tonight.
That's because they were all wide open.
They were all wide ass open. And the reason they were wide ass open is that Oklahoma City was relentlessly attacking Jokic. Every single thing, it felt like to me, the goal was to attack Jokic. So early on, it was like involving Hartenstein and on-ball stuff, like side ball screens, dribble handoffs. Then side ball screen, they send 2 to the ball onto Shea. They get the ball short roll to Chet. Hartenstein in the dunker spot, easy lob. Ball screen with Hartenstein. Shea turns the corner. Hartenstein just like short rolls into the little floater area. Shea hits Hartenstein for the floater. Hartenstein, has the ball, throws a kick out for a 3. Next, like Hartenstein floater. Then they take Hartenstein off the court at the 7-minute mark of the first quarter. Jalen Williams comes in and they immediately attack and hit Jalen Williams for a wide open corner 3.
Yep.
Then how it was Jokic that they were attacking and they weren't just using the big. Jokic picked up Lou Dort as a trailer in transition one time, and Dort was the guy that went to screen. Dort goes to pick and pop, hits the pass fake. Jokic kind of goes to the pass fake, ends up being a wide open 3. Then they went into like a zone to try like a matchup-y kind of zone. It felt like to try and hide him a little bit.
Yeah.
And immediately Jokic was like at the elbow, it felt like, of this zone. And Isaiah Joe, like they ran this action to basically have Jokic have to close out onto Isaiah Joe after like having to help at the rim and then like get all the way out. It was fucking awesome. And it was just literally relentless. Then in the second quarter, like I'm not going to like go on and relentlessly at this. DeAndre Jordan comes on, Jalen Williams pick and pop, drills it from, Jalen Williams pick and roll against drop coverage from DeAndre, just like walks into a 3 wide open. Pick and pop from Case and Wallace, they run like a little like slide action, ghost action, whatever you want to call it. DeAndre Jordan guarding him, no shot. Another one, Case and Wallace 3 wide open. It was just like an epic ass kicking. And then, oh, by the way, like when Jokic comes back on the court, immediately misses the box out for an Aaron Wiggins tip dunk. Like this was about as bad as I've seen Jokic play on defense, honestly.
So, and here's the other thing. I thought they had him a little bit frustrated offensively as well. And maybe what they were doing to him defensively contributed to the offense. He had 6 turnovers tonight. And there were times where like, I think they were just like, they were frustrating him. They were always around him. But I think they were disrupting his court mapping and those things. Like, and this is one of the most active defenses he's going to see, right? And they have length and they play really hard and they play really well. We talked about this, that this would be an interesting matchup because how do the Nuggets really hurt you? With your off-ball defense, because Christian Brown will cut, or offensive rebound, Aaron Gordon will cut, Russ will cut, and the Thunder are not just good point of attack defenders. Alex Caruso's also what? A really good off-ball defender. J-Dub, really good off-ball defender. This is what SGA does. They have length behind it across the board with Jay Will and Chet and Hart. And so I think it's disrupted him a little bit. Now it'll be interesting to watch, see how he figures it out, but he has 7 and 6 turnovers in these first 2 games. Obviously, in game 1, he was still incredible, but 6 fouls tonight, 6 of 16 from the field. And then, like, as you said, all of the stuff defensively as well. Oklahoma City has really gone after him. And yeah, I mean, this was just a complete, I said coming into the series, I thought OKC would win and I thought they would guard the Nuggets. And I thought if either Denver's defense was good or OKC's offense was bad, we would get close games. Any game where OKC is either turning defense into offense or SGA is going crazy or J-Dub's that second option, any game where the offense is flowing, I think OKC blows them out because they're going to defend them. And if they get their offense going or Denver's not locked in defensively, OKC is going to win that game. I don't want to say like they're not going to win many games by 43, but they're going to win those games handedly.
I mean, here's the crazy thing. Like, Denver didn't even shoot that poorly tonight.
They put up the 3-point percentages at one time. And I was like, holy shit. Like, they're kind of the same. It was crazy.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty wild. I mean, like the fact that they didn't even shoot poorly, and it's like, look, this is a freaking 40 ball that you lose by. I thought Shea like completely bounced back from game one, where I didn't think he was great. It was freaking unbelievable in game two. Goes for 34 points, 8 assists on 11 of 13 from the field and 11-11 from the free throw line. Like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like this was bonkers, this beating.
And he looked super smooth. So we talked earlier about 2-point shooting from the Celtics, right? The Nuggets tonight were 18 of 50, and I can do that math, 36% from 2 with 20 turnovers. 18 of 50 from 2-point and 20 turnovers to boot. Does not matter that they went 15 of 37 from 3 or made 25 free throws, because they turned the ball over 20 times and couldn't score efficiently inside the 3-point line.
Yeah. I mean, here's the other thing about this game too. Chet, 26 minutes,
Yep.
J-Dub, 26 minutes, Hartenstein, 22, Shea played 30, Dort, 27. They only had to play Caruso 10 minutes tonight.
Yeah.
Like, there's just like, they got like a night off, like some of these guys. And that's huge for them against a Denver team coming off of like a 7 series where, you know, tough up until that last game, which was a blowout.
Yep. Yeah. It's when do they go again? Because are they till Saturday too?
No, they are Friday night.
Oh, okay.
Friday night looks like Thunder Nuggets in
we
game
only
3,
we
and
only
then
we only get one game on we only have one game on Thursday tonight, later tonight.
Yeah. And there, for some reason, the schedule I'm looking at says that it's going to be like a back-to-back for them, and that just doesn't seem right. No, it's not. It's
No, they're sat Golden. We get Golden State, Minnesota Thursday night, and then so then the pairings will be the Cleveland Indiana series will be paired with OKC Denver, and the Boston New York series will be paired with Minnesota Golden State moving forward.
Yeah.
Throughout the rest of the yeah, so they're just changing up the pairings a little bit for, I don't understand playoff scheduling. It doesn't matter. Whatever.
Yeah. I do have a bummer note for you, unfortunately, Bryce.
What's that?
That game on Friday night is at 7 p.m. Pacific time.
I saw
9 p.m. your time, start time. My guess is that the way that this goes for us is we probably won't record tomorrow night, and then Friday and Saturday we'll have to figure out what day is better. And for you, it's probably going to end up being Saturday. We will we will see the way that we go with this. Yeah, I mean, look, like I still think Oklahoma City has like a pretty real advantage in that series. I don't know that I've seen much that makes me think differently, even though Denver split and got like home court advantage back. Look, we'll see. I mean, look, Denver does still have home court advantage in the series now, but yeah, I mean, just from an overall basketball perspective, for reasons we talked about going into this week, it does feel like Oklahoma City is in a pretty good spot still to me.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay. Golden State, Minnesota, you know, look, I kind of didn't want to talk a lot about this game just because I kind of like, we've seen 2 games of all the other series, and, you know, I want to see how Minnesota bounces back from last night, which was kind of a disaster. In fact, I don't know if there's a kind of about it. I think it was definitely a disaster for them.
Yeah. They
They lose this game 99-88. Stephen Curry leaves after 13 minutes with a, what are they calling it? A grade 1 hamstring strain.
Yep.
And he's going to be out for a week's worth of games, which is massive for Minnesota. Like the big thing for me was like, I didn't think that Ant played super well last night. Mike Conley certainly did not play well last night. Dante did not shoot well. They didn't get anything from Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And then like Gobert just like didn't do anything really either outside of a few offensive rebounds that were important. But yeah, it was not a great game from Minnesota. And it was a little bit bizarre because it felt like Golden State had just come off this massive 7-game series. They have to play a tough, like immediate game after with 1 day off. Minnesota had like a nice break to like get some rest. Golden State had to fly from Houston to Minnesota after game 7, and they just come in and roll them. Like that was one of the bigger surprises to me, honestly, of this surprising second round so far.
Yeah, it was not a good performance from the Wolves all around. You mentioned all of the different people. I thought Nas offensively, he found his scoring at least, even though there were some turnovers. I thought Ant figured out his process a little bit more in the second half. So we'll see if he can carry that over into game 2. Julius Randle had been good in the playoffs thus far. I didn't think it was his best performance, but, for the Warriors, like shout out Buddy Hield, who put together a heck of a game 7. And then here in game 1 of this series plays well. We know what Jimmy does. Draymond hits 4 threes and does his thing. And you're like straight up, your guy Pat Spencer came in and had some nice minutes for him, including the running hook. Here's what I will say is the Warriors got, I have the numbers here somewhere. They got 7 of 14 from 3 from Draymond Green, Gary Payton II, and Jonathan Kuminga. We'll see if that carries over throughout the rest of the series or not.
So yes, you're 100% right. Here's the other thing that's going to carry over in this series. I thought, even after what I thought was like a masterpiece of a first round from Draymond Green defensively, this was unbelievable, Bryce.
Yeah.
Like the level to which he dominated that game defensively, just the ability to like play cat and mouse with Ant. Either he's, guarding him in space, or he's, particularly when he's on the back line, like trying to make him guess and like making him play the guessing game on where he has to pass the ball. Like unbelievable. He's just baiting Ant the entire game in terms of trying to make these like bad decisions, and he's completely clogging up everything that they're trying to do. It feels like to me that was like, if you want to go watch like how to play off-ball defense and how to like just gum up the works by not even necessarily having to do much on the ball, I thought that Draymond was like in a class of his own. Like he's been in a class of his own this entire playoff so far defensively. Like there is no one even in his stratosphere to me right now on the defensive end of the court. And it's been that way basically since they got Jimmy. Like he's been the best defense player in the league since they got Jimmy, but in the playoffs, like it's ramped up to a new level. This has been as clinical and high IQ as you will find a defender like ever play to me. He has been unbelievable on that end.
And this is what they're going to have to lean into. Like they're going to have to, manufacture scoring with Buddy Hield and his off-ball stuff, which honestly may work because Minnesota has some bad off-ball defenders where Buddy's relocation and Pod's movement and some of that stuff they may be able to manufacture enough, but they're probably going to have to lean into playing Gary Payton II and, like just go to kind of a defensive lineup, and with Draymond, leading the charge there. Maybe they can make that work against this Minnesota team. I also thought the matchups were interesting. We talk about Buddy offensively. Buddy took the Ant matchup to start the game because they can't put Jimmy Butler on Ant because they're so much smaller than the Timberwolves. They have to use Butler and Draymond for Gobert and Julius Randle. But because those are who, then those guys can be helpers and all of that. Without Curry, you got to feel like Minnesota has a good chance to win game 2 and go on a little run here, but like they better show up and have the offense figured out, because I think Golden State's still going to guard the heck out of them. Minnesota hasn't shot it well from 3 so far in the playoffs. I think the first round series was really bad for them, even though not really bad, but not I don't think it was their regular season standards. And then they were 5 of 29 in this game. Nas was the only one that really shot it well from 3. So be interesting to see if that rounds back into form for a team that was one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the regular season.
Yeah, don't want to like overreact too much to this one game
Sure.
necessarily either, but especially with Curry being out, it does feel like the Warriors are going to be behind the 8 ball here moving forward, and they're going to have to find a way to manufacture offense in some way, shape, or form. But hey, I mean, crazier things have happened, I guess, and they banked a win essentially without Curry for half the game.
Yeah.
So like to get that win, and then like maybe you can, if you steal one in the next week and it's 2-2 or 3-2 or something like that, and he gets back in game 6, even if you're down a game going into game 6, like you might feel like okay about this. You know what I mean?
That's where Minnesota has to have a sense of urgency, right? Like you can't mess around and let them steal another game without Steph. And like your goal has to be, we end this before Steph can even think about getting back on the court, right? Like you got to be thinking we got to go win the next 4 and not even let him get back a part of it. Cause you're right. Even if it is 3-2 and now Steph's coming back into the equation, I mean, that sways momentum back in Golden State's direction a little bit. They get 6 at home and then 7 on the road. So, yeah, I'm still into all of these series. They haven't all gone the way I thought they were going to, but I'm still very interested with them. And obviously, we get game 2 of this on Thursday night, which will give us some more information.
Yeah, that's what I'm most interested in. Let's see what this looks like in game 2. Okay. That's all I've got on my end, Bryce. Do you have any strong thoughts as you depart the show?
I don't think so. Like I said, it's been we've mentioned it and referenced it multiple times, but it's been a fun playoffs. You see people talk about it on Twitter and, social media in terms of, I think people are enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. And so it's delivering right now, and I have no reason to think it won't continue to do so.
Couldn't agree more. The last thing we've talked about, because we said we wanted to talk about this on this episode, the PITT, Bryce. You have watched the PITT.
All but 2 episodes, yeah.
You're through all but 2 episodes of the PITT. What are your thoughts here? What a great show the PITT is. What a delightful time.
No, it is. It's interesting. Like, so it's in a Pittsburgh hospital. It's essentially each episode is an hour of the shift for these. You have like the head doctor or whatever, and then the ones with a little more experience, and then these youngers that are like on their first day that aren't even officially doctors yet. And then you have the nurses, and they bring in the dynamics of running a hospital and the finances of that. And then of course you bring in all the different patients with all the different situations and medicals and all of that. It just, you get really attached to these people that are literally only there for that episode and then they're gone, and all of that. And just like, no, I want to know how does that person's story end whenever they walk out, and different things. And it's a little overly graphic for me in terms of some of the stuff like I could do without, but it has me hooked every time it comes on. I really enjoy it. And I won't spoil what like the kind of the end of this is kind of hitting on. But now there's like this big ado going on, super stressful, like, everything kind of like has me stressed out by the end of it. So I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. So
look, I love the show. It's unbelievable. It's probably my favorite new show of the year. Although I will say, Laura and I have started Lioness on Paramount Plus. What a delight. Like what an absolute crazy ass show. Shout out Taylor Sheridan, just like absolute insane person that he is. The Yellowstone guy has created a special ops show. It's the best.
Okay.
It's completely insane. Completely ridiculous. Like fever dream of like conspiracies and also like spy work and spycraft and all of this. It's amazing. It's so good.
Okay.
We're having a blast with it. It has like Nicole Kidman, has Zoe Saldana. Like it rocks. It rips. My issue with the PITT, I have one issue with this beautiful, delightful show that I love. every single motherfucker that would walk into that ER would have the strongest Pittsburgh accent in the history of accents. Like, there would not, like, I understand the doctors, like, the doctors can kind of come from wherever, right? Like, you don't necessarily have to be from Pittsburgh to be a doctor. Like, a lot of the people in the pit, for instance, like, they say, oh, I came from Kansas, I came from this, like, I came from, you know, that area of the country, right? Every person that walks into the ER would be dropping their OWs and going, oh yeah, we came downtown to go to the concert, and like, it would be ludicrous. It is crazy that we do not have a single person with a Pittsburgh accent in that show. That's my one complaint. We need to drop the OWs and get some AHs in there.
I mean, I'm with it. Like, I understand. I don't. I will watch it with the same amount of joy either way, but I understand why this could bother you. I get it.
We gotta get there. We gotta get there at some point. That's all I'm asking. Okay. Just give me one like heavy Pittsburgh accent. I'm not asking for a lot here. I'm asking for a little bit. Just
Maybe
a little bit.
Season two.
Season 2. That's what we need. Okay, Bryce, tell the people where they can find your work. Tell the people what's going on.
Yeah, Motor City Hoops on Twitter, on Blue Sky. If you want to get some video breakdown stuff, I will probably do something about how the Knicks came back in Game 2, breaking down all the important plays of the 20-point comeback against the Celtics. So if you're interested in that, that'll drop on Knicks Film School sometime on Thursday. Pistons Pulse podcast if you want Pistons content. Otherwise, Game Theory podcast right here with the Sam Vecenie, over 30,000 subscribers. Thank you all.
Thank you all so much for subscribing. Again, like Bryce said, we just cracked 30,000 subscribers. Amazing stuff. We appreciate you all immensely. Thank you. Keep hitting that subscribe button if you're around. Keep hitting the subscribe button over on the podcast feeds. We appreciate you all immensely. We will be back later this weekend, I would guess. Probably not tomorrow night, but the next night or Saturday night. We will see. And then we will definitely have like the normal Sunday show that we always do. But there will be a time in there, whether it's Andrew and I, Bryce and I, we'll figure it out at some point. That's all we got, though. Until next time, we'll talk soon.